Hi guys, my name is Rasa, so I'm a worker at EdgeAI Innovations, and I want to talk about this little nifty project that I've been working on for the last couple of months. So, as you may know already, we've been working on building Memanto. So Memanto here, I have the repository open. It's beginning a lot of traction. It's a memory layer for AI agents, and it connects to our backend Moorcheh, which is a high fidelity semantic search engine. And we've been working on getting this out to many users. We have bounties, and we've been trying to get it into a more ready production state for many people to use. So, what actually I've been looking into is I've been doing a lot of research into OpenClaw. So we've been looking into how OpenClaw works on its backend, how it's gotten its popularity, and we've been trying to think, what if we apply Memanto's memory layer into OpenClaw? What if we try to connect Memento with OpenClaw? And we looked into some of the current downsides and advantages that OpenClaw has, and this led us to do a bit more research. We found that OpenClaw is a bit notorious for the having security issues. It would be able to like modify changes on your laptop or your Mac. It would be able to have access to your API keys and make malicious calls. Not that it tries to, but the fact that it has access to your API keys in the first place is a bit of a security risk. And so this led us to finding out the existence of NemoClaw. So NemoClaw actually is something produced by NVIDIA, and they use something called OpenShell, which is basically they have a sandbox environment. They have a sandbox environment where they put OpenClaw. They put OpenClaw in this sandbox box, and then they explicitly manage what OpenClaw can do, and they particularly keep API keys and sensitive information outside of this box. And so, as a way to deal with the security issue, we had an idea to build something on top of NemoClaw. So we use NemoClaw's existing security prevention for OpenClaw, and then we would try to tie that into Memanto. So this led us to building something we'd like to call MemantoClaw. So MemantoClaw currently, as I'm recording this video, it's still a private repository, but we plan on making this public and free to use. So MemantoClaw is an extension of NemoClaw. It's cloned from the NVIDIA NemoClaw, and it's basically uses Memanto as its base. So we looked into the memory systems that OpenClaw and NemoClaw use and the exact internals, and we found a lot of problems with how it deals with its memory. And it's very inefficient. There are like flushing operations. It uses keyword search. So it functions as a memory layer, but Memento is just so much better. We have conflict handling, we have extremely efficient semantic search. We have a whole website talking about all of our benefits. We have good results on benchmarks, long mem eval. It has good recall latency. It has good results on Locomo. It's a whole list of things that we've sort of optimized so that it has solid memory, solid long-term memory, and can maintain conversations with users for an extremely long time while maintaining a good amount of efficiency and good recall. So this led us to building MemantoClaw, and I have a bit of an architecture. There are some tweaks in order to keep it aligned with the security architecture that NemoClaw has designed. I've developed sort of an architecture that allows it to work well with Memanto and Moorcheh. And I'll be showing you a bit of a demo right now. So this is Ubuntu. So I've cleaned up my slate, so I have nothing going on here, no API keys set, nothing pulled or anything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through a bit of a demo. So how you would install this whole thing, how you use it, how you use OpenClaw with it. So there is an install script. So install. Usually you would just curl this install script without actually having to download the repository. But I can't do that unless we make this public. So for now, just to show that it works, I have the repository locally and I'll be using their install script. So this install script will take a bit of time. There's a lot going on under the hood. It has to install the OpenClaw images. It has to fetch the OpenShell images as well. And I'm going to make a cut here because this is going to take a few minutes, but that's fine. This is a process you only have to do once. So I'll see you in a bit. Okay, I'm back. So it just finished installing everything. It got the Memanto CLI, and now it automatically starts this onboarding process. So I'll try to focus more on the whole onboarding process. So as always, you'll have to pick an LLM in order to get the inference for OpenClaw. And so the thing with Moorcheh is that Moorcheh has its own native LLMs. So if you have a Moorcheh API key, you can not only get Memanto-backed memory using Moorcheh, but you can also access the Moorcheh LLMs. So we still have the other inferences as options. You can use Gemini if you have a Gemini API key. If you have an OpenAI API key, that's fine. But we have a Moorcheh endpoint. You can just use that instead and have one less API key to work with. And that's what I'll be doing. So I'll be choosing the defaults Anthropic Cloud Sonnet 4.6. I do have my Moorcheh API key set up in here, but otherwise it would ping you to ask you, what that key is. And if you make a Moorcheh account, you can get one for free. There's a free sign up. You'll get 500 credits. You can look into how much 500 credits can actually get you. And another thing, we start our Memanto server. This is part of the architecture. And this Memanto server is started automatically, and it will be handling all the memory operations without you having to intervene at all. So now it'll ask us for our sandbox name. I'll be remaking the sandbox so we can start everything from a fresh slate. And you'll have to give this a minute too. This is also going to take a few minutes. So I'm going to have to cut again. Okay, I'm back again. So we finished making the sandbox, and sandbox Memanto test is created. This is a NemoClaw thing. There's a whole policy thingy where you can allow specific calls to be made outside of the sandbox. I'm just going to say no. I mean, if you want to set these up, you can say yes, but for the sake of the demo, I'm going to say no. So there are multiple ways to access OpenClaw, but for me, I'm just going to use the TUI just for demonstration purposes. So we have the TUI here. So this is how you talk with OpenClaw from inside the OpenShell, or at least it's one of the ways. So first I'm going to send a message. So the point here I want to demonstrate is how it interacts with Memanto and Moorcheh. So in the backend here, it's actually communicating with Moorcheh right now. So it just did that. So actually what happened there is, this is my Moorcheh account. So I'm going to look through all the namespaces. So it's going to take a bit to refresh. I have a lot of namespaces sitting in here, several hundred to be exact. Give it a little bit. So what it did on the back end actually is it created this new namespace. So Memanto agent, MemantoClaw main agent. So this is where everything will be stored. So when you're talking to OpenClaw, because I've connected it to Memanto and Memanto is connected to Moorcheh, you're going to see all your memories appear right over here. So you can see hello, and then it also contains the assistant response corresponding to what they said. So this is the idea of having an external memory layer. So even though you have OpenClaw running inside the shell, everything you do and say within OpenClaw will propagate outside to Moorcheh, and everything will be saved here. And you can access it again. It'll stay with you. All the data is saved. Even if you close OpenShell, You close OpenClaw, you uninstall it, you do whatever with it. Your data will stay saved here. So that's one of the advantages of using MemantoClaw and having this memory layer. Everything is saved, you retain the long-term memory regardless of what you do. So I'll be going back here, and now I want to talk a bit about the security. So one of the I've been showing a bit how the architecture is designed. I'll be going a bit more into that. So the key thing, so here's the actual container. Okay, I can't actually point onto the screen, so I'll try to use my mouse to point things out. So on my host, you have the Memanto server, you have the Moorcheh proxy. This is how OpenClaw makes LLM calls to Moorcheh. And then you have the actual Moorcheh server cloud. So the key thing you note here is that the API key actually lives outside of the OpenShell container. So I've designed it specifically to have these proxies inject the API key that lives on the host into the actual call. So OpenClaw will make a call. It'll hit these proxies, and then the API key gets injected. And then it goes to Moorcheh API. So it makes sure that OpenClaw has no access to any of your API keys. All the security is good. It can't do anything. I'm gonna give it some prompts. So, do you have access to a Moorcheh API key? Talk to it for a bit. It can't see anything. I'm gonna tell it to try a bit harder. Quickly. A sandbox. Yep, so because the API key isn't actually in the sandbox, it it's using it, but it doesn't actually have access to it. So it can only specifically make the remember and recall functions to Moorcheh and also have LLM access to Moorcheh. But if it tries to do anything else, it simply has no access to it. And some other security things, access to Sandbox. This is NemoClaw's configuration for security. Because it's in a sandbox, it prevents access to my actual local setup. So I'm gonna give it some more prompts. Can I Yep, so it's completely contained within the sandbox. It doesn't have access to the API keys. It doesn't have access to my local file system. And it's not even trying, honestly. So some very good benefits. And I can show that, go back to Moorcheh, I can refresh, and I can see, or I should see, that everything I've been talking to back and forth with this OpenClaw 2 UI, all the memories are going to be saved. Just give it some time to refresh. Yeah, now there's 10 items. I sent 5 messages to OpenClaw and they sent 5 messages back to me, and I save all of them. And because I have like 500 namespaces saved on Moorcheh for my work, it takes a little bit of time to refresh. Yeah, and it shows everything that's been going on with my conversations, and all of it will be saved, unless you explicitly delete it on Moorcheh, which you can do. And there's some other things you can do. This is more going into NemoClaw specifications. So it runs using OpenShell. So I can actually go into OpenShell and see the policies, what exactly is being let through into outside of its sandbox. I can see Memanto test my sandbox. I can see all the network rules, see what exactly we're allowing to go out. And this, I'm giving credit to NemoClaw for developing this. It's a very good system. I'll provide the link to a lot of the NemoClaw guidelines and instructions in the description. I won't be going into detail right now, regarding that because I'm trying to talk about MemantoClaw, and then I have the rules, and then I can improve whatever network rules are going on. Or like if it makes a special call outside, it'll go through here first, and then I can approve it if I really need to. There's actually one more thing I wanted to show because we're using Memento as a bridge to talk to Moorcheh and save all the memories. We can use all of Memento's unique features in order to interact with the memories and actually see more into detail what's going on instead of just having a black box memory layer. So here we have a whole dashboard. We can see the agent we're using, the MemantoClaw main agent. We can see the APIs configured. We have an explorer. We can see all the memories that we have been talking about with MemantoClaw. We have a playground. We have something called conflict resolution. How it works is that at the end of every day, Memanto will check about anything conflicting you've said throughout the day, and you can resolve these conflicts manually. There's a nice little interactive environment there for you to do that. There's answer configurations. You can tweak the temperature. You can tweak the relevance threshold, and you can tweak the answer limit, top N, and you can look through analytics. So that's basically the last bit of what I wanted to talk about. So that's pretty much MemantoClaw. It's a full demo of what I've been working on. And this is internal right now, but we plan on making it public very soon. We're happy to receive any contributions or potentially any feedback. We're very open to feedback. We want to have the best product possible. And we hope you can contribute to Memento as well, maybe be general users, and hope that you'll have a fun time building whatever you want with your Memento setup. So that's pretty much it. And I'll be saying bye now.